Pathobiology of periapex from an immunological point of view. So, when a dental pulp is going to become necrotic, which means the blood supply within the pulp is lost. So, even if we are going to give any kind of a systemic antibiotic, it is not going to reach your pulp. The minimum inhibitory concentration that is necessary for an antibiotic to be effective will not reach your pulp when your pulp is going to become necrotic. And this is the reason we are going to do an root canal treatment. In root canal treatment, we will remove the infected pulp. We will do the biomechanical preparation followed by irrigation, and we are going to give an 3-dimensional obturation. So basically we are removing the irritant, the pathogen from the pulp canal space. So the basic idea behind a root canal treatment is to remove the irritant, pathogen, the microorganism from the root canal space so that the infection will not spread to the periapical region. Now we have an hypothesis given by Fish. Okay, this is going to be a zone of infection, and the zone of contamination is B, and C is zone of irritation, and D is zone of stimulation. According to Fish, if we are going to remove this zone of infection, then automatically all the other zones will heal. Okay, and this is Cronfield's mountain pass theory. So here again, your zone A will be the infected one, and this infection or bacteria should pass through this pass and enters your periapical region. Here many defending cells of the immune system are present, and this is Cronfield mountain pass theory. So these are the important components that are playing an important role in the pathobiology of periapical region. So you have innate immune response, adaptive immune response, and neurogenic inflammation. So neutrophil and macrophages comes under innate immune response. We have specific response and non-specific response. Non-specific response is phagocytosis and neutrophil extracellular trapping, which is NET. And specific response is because of toll-like receptors. We have toll-like receptors even in our odontoblast, which helps in the identification of PAM, that is pathogen associated molecular pattern. Then adaptive immune responses, B cell and T cell. Neurogenic inflammation consists of CGRP, substance P, which plays a pro-inflammatory role by a vasodilation, while NPY and VIP have an anti-inflammatory role. NK cell lies between these innate and adaptive immune response. So what are the possible outcome? The possible outcome after the elimination of irritant is the formation of a normal periapical tissue. So it will return back to normalcy. Or sometimes when the infection is going to persist, it can form abscess, or it can even transform into a chronic apical inflammation, or scarring or cyst formation can also occur.
Now let us see in detail about what is happening during inflammation in the periapical region. So this is hematopoietic stem cell. We have myeloid series and lymphoid series. So NK cell, T cell, B cell comes under lymphoid series. And under myeloid series, we have granulocyte macrophage colony stimulating factor, eosinophil progenitor, basophil progenitor, megakaryocyte, which is platelet, and erythroid progenitor, that is erythrocyte. So under granulocyte macrophage colony stimulating factor, we have macrophages and neutrophil. So let us start with T cell, that is lymphoid series. We have different types of T cell, T helper cell, regulatory cell, suppressor cell and cytotoxic T cell. We call T helper cell as CD4 positive cell and cytotoxic T cell as CD8 T cell. Okay. Now when an antigen enters the body, your antigen presenting cell like macrophages will recognize the antigen and they will present it to the T cell via MHC2 or MHC1 complex. So if it is presenting via MHC1, it will activate the CD8 T cell. So the antigen presenting cell will present the antigen via MHC1 to CD8 positive T cell and via MHC2 complex to your CD4 positive T cell. So if it is CD4, it is MHC2. If it is CD8, it is MHC1. So after the antigen presenting cell has presented the antigen to your CD4 positive T cell, it differentiates into Th1 and Th2 subcell. So monocytoid dendritic cell plays an important role in Th1 differentiation, while plasmacytoid dendritic cell plays an important role in Th2 differentiation. So the Th1 cell mostly has pro-inflammatory action, while a Th2 cell have anti-inflammatory action. Th1 cell produces interferon gamma, interleukin 2 and induces a B cell to produce the opsonizing antibody. So they are all pro-inflammatory. While your Th2 cells will produce anti-inflammatory it mostly have anti-inflammatory role. It produces interleukin 4, 5, 10, 13 and it directs the B cell to produce neutralizing antibody. Okay. So now this interferon gamma, what it does, it stimulates your macrophages. Your macrophages will produce interleukin 1 and interleukin 8. Your interleukin 8 will activate your neutrophil. This interleukin 8 will in turn activate your neutrophil. Now let's see about the anti-inflammatory interleukin 4, 5, 10 and 13. These interleukin plays an important role in type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. So this interleukin 4 will play an important role in class switching, that is it switches IgM to IgE, which plays an important role in your type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. Now let us see how an periapical granuloma is formed. Okay, so now your Th1 cell will produce interferon gamma. This interferon gamma, what it does is it is going to activate your macrophage, and your macrophage will also produce something called as interleukin 12, which will in turn activate your Th1. So it is like a cycle. So when the cycle is going on, what happens is number of macrophages will increase. When macrophages increases, it forms epithelioid cells, then giant cell, and it results in the formation of a granuloma, periapical granuloma. So now let us also see about the mechanism of bone resorption. Now interleukin 1 beta produced by the macrophages and TNF 1 beta produced by the activated T cell plays an important role in the bone resorption via the activation of osteoclast. So here we should know about an important system, rank, rankle and OPG system. When rank and rankle gets binded, it results in the activation of your osteoclast. Your OPG inhibits the binding of rankle to your rank. Thereby, it inhibits the activity of your osteoclast. When the osteoclast gets activated, it forms a kind of a cell-free zone and ruffled border. Okay, this ruffled border will help in the will help in the formation of an intimate contact with the bone. And the osteoclasts will bind with your bone with the help of these integrins. Now, here carbon dioxide will bind to water in the presence of the carbonic anhydrase enzyme and result in the formation of H plus and carbonate ion. Now, the carbonate ion is pumped out and in return chloride ion comes in, which binds with this H plus in order to and forms the hydrochloric acid, resulting in resorption. Hence, carbonic acid and other acid plays an important role in removal of inorganic material, while matrix metalloproteinases, cysteine, serine plays an important role in the removal of your organic material. Now, let us also see how your neutrophil comes into the site of action. And this is a kind of a basic pathology that we will have learned. So whenever there is going to be an inflammation, then vasodilation occurs. And because of increased vascular permeability, your leukocyte will start marginating. Okay, then it goes for rolling. That is, rolling occurs by the interaction of your L-selectin on the leukocyte and E-selectin on the endothelial cell. Then this leukocyte will bind to the endothelium of your blood vessel. So this takes place by the help of ICAM and VCAM. Then the leukocyte should come out of the blood vessel, that is transmigration, which takes place with the help of PCAM. Now the neutrophil moves towards the chemotactic factors. So chemotactic factors of neutrophil are interleukin 8, leukotrienes, leukotriene B4, C3A, C5A, bacteria and bacterial byproducts.